Good morning, everyone. Oh, you can do much better than that. Good morning, everyone. Great, thank you. Thank you for coming to day two of the Prosperity Summit. I'm Jeremie Greer, Vice President for Policy and Research, and my pronouns are him, his, and him. So, Dr. King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but bends towards justice. That's the theme of this plenary today, and really a statement that guides our work. It teaches us two things. One, that if you're on the path towards justice, you're on the right path. Whether it's racial justice, economic justice, gender equity, justice for those with disabilities, or those who are LGBTQ, you are on the right path. But what it also teaches us is that that road is long and fraught with difficulty and consequence and struggle, and that you must persevere through that struggle because it is the righteous path. So at this plenary stage today, you're going to hear from leaders, fellow travelers along that path. You're going to hear from the founder of our movement. You're going to hear from advocates in the trenches day to day fighting for that justice that we seek. You're going to hear from 4 leaders who are leading their cities down that path. And you're going to hear from a corporate partner that lives this every day. And with that, I'm going to invite Janis Bowdler to join me on stage.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning. So, many of you can read Janis's bio, and you know she's president of JPMorgan Chase Foundation, but I know Janis as a fellow activist in the cause. So when I met Janis, she was at Unidos US, formerly National Council of RASA, and she was a leading advocate for Latino homeownership, Latino small business development, just Latino asset building. And she got that background from being on the front lines in the East Side neighborhoods of Cleveland, doing community development work. So who better to be centerpiece in one of the largest foundations in the country, JPMorgan Chase Foundation, to really kind of champion the work that we're moving forward. So I just wanted to say that about Janis before we get into the question and answer. And I want everyone to please join me in welcoming Janis to the stage.
Thank you.
So Janis and I are going to have a little conversation, and then we're going to move to the next part of the plenary. But the thing I want to talk to about Janis is, I want you to talk about all the work that you're doing at JPMorgan Chase, because it's really, really great and groundbreaking work. But I also want you to talk to some of the skeptics in the audience. There are people that are a little skeptical of banks, and rightfully so. Like, there's been a lot of things in the news that our community has been dealing with. But I want you to talk to them about your work, but also about, are the investments that we're seeing from a bank like JPMorgan Chase sustainable over time, or is it just a flash in the pan?
Sure. So let me answer that in a couple of ways. So first of all, I think we're seeing 2 major trends when it comes to, let's say, corporate engagement broadly in social change work. The first is that we have growing global inequality. Like, that's readily apparent to everybody in this room, but it's also reached fever pitch in such a way that it's disrupting political systems all over the globe. We see it here at home, we see it in other countries. And so I think from a corporate perspective and from a multinational like JPMorgan Chase, the question back to us is, are you part of the problem? Are you part of the solution? And I'm cognizant of where I sit. I've sat in your seat. Your job is to advocate and push us harder every day on the business that we do. And I encourage everybody to keep on doing that. From the top, from Jamie Dimon, he said, we want to be part of the solution. And so if you walk backwards from that and what that means for our corporate philanthropy, it means you're not really part of the solution if you're just swishing some dollars around, right? Walking backwards from that, we've built a highly credible foundation that's doing deep investments. We're measuring, we're evaluating. I'd like to think that our work stands up with any private foundation. We're investing in 4 key areas: workforce, community development, small business, and financial health. And those line up with major drivers of economic inequality. So I think there's a big role, in particular, when we bring more than just dollars to the table, when we're bringing data from the JPMorgan Chase Institute, when we're bringing time and talent of employees. But the other thing that's not going away beyond the goodwill of our senior leaders is also a change in consumer trends, where consumers really they're voting with their feet. They want to do business, whether it's their bank or their shoe company. They want to do business with a brand that aligns with their values.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And so why we love working with you, Janis, is that we know, because we work together, this is very personal for you. You come to this work, it's very personal work for you. I wonder if you could talk with us today about what brings you to work every day as the president of JPMorgan Chase Foundation, and what keeps you there through those tough times that I know that we all encounter in our work.
Sure. So when I was growing up, we didn't have the language for this that we have now, but we call it geography of opportunity, right? I lived 3 blocks into a failing school district. If I lived 4 blocks the other way, I would have gone to a completely different school with a different set of opportunities. Don't feel bad for me. I did just fine. But I often hesitate around telling my personal story because I don't want it to sound too much like a beat the odds story. Everybody loves a comeback story, but that's not a system. That's not what we work on every day. We are here to make sure that every individual, this is what we say we believe as Americans, has the opportunity to live up to their full economic potential. So I get up out of bed every day thinking about the naked unfairness of place driving your personal life outcomes and life opportunities. And that I think is a fair description of a lot of the work that we're doing at the JPMorgan Chase Foundation, is thinking about the implications of place and everything that sort of comes from that. Doing this work, I have to say, now I'm 5 years in. I started out doing strategy. I'm now in the president of the foundation. I still have a hard time saying that out loud. Very excited to be in that new role. And I think it's a fair question, like, why keep doing this work? And I think as advocates in a time in the times that we live, we ask ourselves constantly, are we in the right seat to affect change? And how do we use the seat that we have to be effective in making progress towards our goals? And there's, of course, my day job is the foundation, but I am very proud of the work that JPMorgan Chase is doing to be a culture carrier in these times. And earlier this year, post-tax reform, we announced that we were raising minimum wage for all of our employees, not just one-time bonuses, that we're paying more for individual health care plans, increasing the foundation spend. But one of the real bright spots for me this year was when Jamie Dimon sent a note to employees expressing frustration and calling for the end of family separation. And the Business Roundtable, which he chairs, put out a formal statement before we had seen change from the administration. And that was a moment where I said, yes, it really matters. When Jamie stands up for immigrant families, when he stands up for LGBT families, EITC, the list goes on, our voice really matters in this broader conversation.
Well, thank you for all of your work. Thank you for your partnership. I will say you can include me in the people that were skeptics after financial crisis. As you know, we were working together at the time, but seeing you in the role you're in now restores a lot of hope. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for everything that you're doing on behalf of our communities and families every day. I was there for 15 years. I have tremendous respect for the work that you all do, and I'm a big champion and supporter. So thank you.
Thank you.